This podcast is a collaboration between Costard and Touchstone Productions and the Tales From The Crypt podcast.
But I assure you, my darling, I didn't miss a moment of it. And being an illusionist also, I thought I might invite you to come and see my show, yeah?
You're an illusionist?
I'm the greatest illusionist, yeah.
How come is it I've never heard of you?
Well, probably because I don't play this part of the country very often. I like to move around.
I'm extremely busy.
I know that you are, but I will leave your name at the box office all the same. You see, my darling boy, you can't get in otherwise. I'm all sold out. Come and see. Come and see, my boy. Come and see the magic.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the How Not to Make a Movie podcast. I'm Alan Katz. Before any sleight of hand begins, a little sleight of heart. If you enjoy this podcast, and I sure hope you do, it would be downright magical if you hit whatever like or better yet love button is available to you. Better still, share your passion for us with your friends and coworkers and family. It's not like you're fleecing their pocket, you're filling it with great stories that take you behind the scenes of the creative process. Another bit of magic, only because I finally got to it. The How Not to Make a Movie podcast now has a functioning Patreon page. You can become part of this growing thing we're building. You can listen to all our episodes ad-free, catch all kinds of bonus content, including a monthly virtual get-together, and lots of other cool surprises. You'll find links to our fan page in the show notes, or go to Patreon and tap in our handle, the How Not to Make a Movie podcast fan page. If the How Not to Make a Movie podcast is a behind-the-scenes look at the creative process, our Patreon page is a behind-the-scenes look behind the scenes. I met Wes Iseli via podcasting connections, but we have another connection too. We've both worked with Penn and Teller. Teller co-wrote a superb episode of Tales From The Crypt with recent guest Colman DeKay called Staired In Horror. Subsequent to that, I developed a show at HBO with Penn and Teller that died in development, as most projects do. Wes Iseli introduced himself to P&T via their show Fool Us, where magicians are invited to confound these two master illusionists with tricks they can't figure out. Wes did that. He fooled Penn and Teller, and not only did Wes get the prize money promised, P&T paid Wes directly for the knowledge of how he'd fooled them. As Wes will tell you, there's no magic involved. There's a ton of craft, though, which is why we're talking about it here. Now, Wes insists, as you'll hear, that there's nothing supernatural about magic. In fact, he hates the whole idea of supernatural magic, but there's something about magic and creating the illusions of it that can spark a little, well, let's call it transcendent magic. There's a ton of love in this story. Wes and his wife, Natalie, they both talk to me. And what Wes and Natalie have created, along with their 3 kids, is a kind of great magic trick. And that's with the caveat that there's no magic. It's craft, hard work, and lots of repetition. But I think you'll find that the effect, oh hell, the story itself, is quite magical. Ultimately, we will come to magic, and how you got into magic, Wes, and then I guess you kind of got sucked into it, Natalie.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay, all right. In looking at what I could find out about you, Wes, you told another interviewer that your world and plans for the future were turned upside down when Terminator 2 came out in theaters. Now, you said you knew that the future of special effects were going to be mainly CGI, and you wanted to do hands-on movie magic. That suggests that it's your original intention was to do something involving the movies. Is that so?
I love Tales from the Crypt. I love horror movies. I wanted to do movie making mask. I wanted to be the next Tom Savini.
So you really wanted to go into movies, special effects.
My dad owned a video store. That's all I knew as a kid. So that was my babysitter. I would go to work with my dad in the summers, and I would sit in the back of a video store, and I could watch anything I wanted. There was literally no caveat to that. And I would drink sodas all day long, and there was 25-cent candy machines. And, he had a deal next door. There was a Little Caesars Pizza. All the employees got free video rentals, and we got all the free pizza we wanted. So food was taken care of, snacks and sodas, and all the movies I wanted. And that was my childhood.
Never mind a kid in a candy store. You had, it was 1,000 times better. Candy store is crap, man. It's just, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's it's funny. I had a similar experience when I was young. We lived next door. I grew up in an upper middle class Jewish suburb of Baltimore called Pikesville, and the people next door to us, Sam Boltanski, he owned a number of bookstores in Europe, and he imported pornography into the United States. Was really how he made his money. He imported pornography, but he had bookstores. And when I went to backpacking Europe after graduating high school, before I went to college, my last stop was at the bookstore that he owned in Amsterdam on the Kalverstraat, which is one of the big walking street. A wonderful, it was the American bookstore in Amsterdam. It might even still be there for all I know. And at the end of my trip, I was going to work there for 2 weeks to make back the money that I had spent. And there was an apartment above the bookstore with a pot. So the deal was you had to mind the pot plant that was the pot plants that were above the bookstore. So you had to take care of those if you were to live in the apartment, and just make sure that the Heineken was restocked. And otherwise, at night, I would lock myself into a bookstore.
Wow.
It was insane. Now, I was 18 at the time. And not only was it a great bookstore, there was a huge pornography collection.
Natalie laughed when you said pornography, but she's younger than I am, right? She doesn't know this age. But my dad's video store, that's what kept him afloat, because he was competing with Blockbuster Video, where they didn't have that. And that was the only thing that brought people in. So it's like every 10 rentals, we'd rent one regular movie. Even though we had 3,000 movies in the video store.
Yeah.
It was the porns, it didn't make sense. They cost my dad $20 to buy. He rent them for $5 a piece. A Blockbuster movie coming out. I remember the movie Ghost on VHS was $100 for my dad to buy a copy, and he had to rent it for $2.50.
Huh.
So, I mean, it was just, he was making his money back and starting to make profit on it so much faster.
Yeah.
With the pornography. So I'm sure the bookstore is the same way. It's cheaper and it sells like hotcakes.
Do you remember, among the movies that gripped you, was there one that you remember was the first movie you saw that ignited the fire for your passion for special effects in movies?
There was a movie called FX, which was a great movie, if you remember that. But FX2, I mean, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then Dad had movie making things like Tom Savini. I had VHS tapes of how to make movie masks and creature masks. So I was going, I was winning Halloween contests in my school as a little kid. I took all the art classes my school had. It added advanced art for me and a few other guys that we come in before school and take those classes. And I was all signed up, had all the brochures, everything, telling my parents, I'm going to Art Institute of Pennsylvania in the fall. That's what I'm going to do. And then that school year, Terminator 2 came out. And, you're a senior. You're trying to figure out your life. I don't know any other magicians. I love magic, but that's just pretend. You can't make a living doing that. And I saw that, I was going to be creative. I was going to be crafty. I was going to be going into a workshop every day and sculpting and creating and being in movies. And it was like, all right, well, now I have to figure this out. How do I become a magician that people want to book? So I went to school for marketing.
So, all right. So you went back to the thing that you were originally passionate about, which was magic. And hey, with special effects where it was kind of, well, all right, movies are smoke and magic, smoke and mirrors to begin with, but this was how the smoke and mirrors work.
Movie magic, movie magic.
Yeah. It's still, hey, you're still structuring something that probably isn't, but you're making the audience believe that it is, or that something is. That's you're telling a story, and there's a little bit of sleight of hand to it.
And I'm not the only magician that has that trajectory. I know of two others that wanted to be in special effects, and some are a little older, some are a little younger, and ended up, they may have worked other jobs and fell into magic, but their original love was to do movie magic, and then they ended up doing magic later. It's just one of those things, and as a writer and producer and everything with Tales from the Crypt, you still need that type of movie magic. But I thought that everything by this point would be 1000% CGI. Sure, I could work on B-title movies and I could do some other things, but I just thought that demand was going to be gone, and I can't see myself sitting in an office 20 hours a day on a computer.
Yeah, no, but you made a remarkable leap to go, okay, so if it's going to be magic, how do I make a living at magic? You still went to try to solve, all right, how do you make a living off the thing you love? That's the real magic trick, ain't it?
I'm a kid. I have to figure out how to do this. I didn't want to work at Walmart. I didn't want to get a factory job. I have a brother that's 9 years older than me, and he was just constantly complaining about this factory job. Now, to me, outside looking in, he works 4 days on and 4 days off. And in his 4 days off, he goes golfing, he goes fishing, he lives life, and it's like vacation. But he was miserable. And I'm like, well, that isn't as good as it looks then. I need to figure out how I can do this. So
having never been a 9-to-5er myself, I absolutely understand. Hey, I've occasionally to pay the rent. I've done temp jobs where I worked in a store or I worked in a bank, but I was only ever just visiting other people's lives. That could never be my life. I would die. I know I'm just not that. I can't survive that way.
Well,
I assume you're the same way.
While I was going to college, I worked at a bank, and all the tellers next to me were just saying, "I can't wait till 5 o'clock. I can't wait till 5 o'clock." And it's Monday. I can't wait till Friday. Simultaneously, at the same point, my dad has cancer, and his life is ending, and I see the writing on the wall, and I'm like, these people are wishing their life away. And I never wanted that. I never wanted to clock in and just, I can't wait till retirement. One lady kept saying, I can't wait till retirement. Honey, you got 6 years. You're trying to fast forward these 6 years? It goes by quick enough. And all of this was coming into me when I was, 18 years old.
Fortunately, of your two parents, your dad kind of got what you were after, while your mom, it took her a lot longer to get it, which is, look at this, it's not hard to understand. How do you explain to conventional people that you want to do what again?
Right. My mom, you did your research, man. My mom was constantly giving me applications, and it was, she doesn't get it. And dad, he's retired at this point. The doctors told him that his medication's making him nod off. It's not safe for him to be working in the video store. People are coming in, waking him up to pay for their purchases. So he sold the video store, sold everything, and got out of that, and was retired at this point. And, he'd give me $20 here, gas money, whatever, and just helping me out. Shows are so few and far between. Mom didn't see it. But my dad's like, you're getting $75 for a 40-minute show at a kid's birthday party? Dude, look what he can do. And I'd show him a simple card trick. I didn't know anything good back then. But he was like, and he would brag to his friends and tell, he's making $75 for 40 minutes. So he was so tickled and so happy, and I fell in love with it.
Mom just wanted you to be.
I totally secure. Get it as a parent now. Yeah. Mom just wanted me secure.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, of course. People who are not creative, who don't understand the risk you're willing to take to live the life of a creative, it seems like utter madness. I'm sure. I'm sure. My dad was a surgeon. and his father was a physician, and I was supposed to be a surgeon, but I've got zero mathematical abilities. There was just no way I was going to get into medical school. It was never going to happen. And my parents slowly wrapped their heads around the fact that I was going to be a writer. Now, even when I got out into Los Angeles and I was making Tales from the Crypt, and my parents would come out to visit, my father would spend days on the set. In fact, my father has a credit on Tales from the Crypt. He was the medical consultant.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And he would come, and hey, sometimes because they loved him on the set, occasionally one of the first assistant director, Lee Webb, would give him, if we had a remote cue for an actor off stage, my dad would be the one pushing the button. And so my father saw what I did, but I heard them in conversations afterwards, and their friends would say, "So what does Alan do again?" And my father would say, "I'm not entirely sure."
Oh,
He knew what everybody else did, but he was still not sure what exactly I did. I feel your pain, brother.
Well, my dad got to see, me doing 9 restaurants 6 days a week and making more money than both mom and dad just doing restaurant magic. And I was doing kids' birthday parties and resorts and county fairs and things. And they saw that. But he didn't see the success that we're at now, right? My mom, on the other hand, when she died 8 years ago at this point, we go into her apartment to clean it up. And on the back of her door, as she shuts her front door of her house, my show posters are all over it. I mean, she was just so proud of us. So proud. And it's, it comes full circle. And being a parent now, like I said, as a kid, I was like, Mom, why are you against me? And as an adult, I'm like, dude, maybe she was looking out for me more. Dad was like, follow your dreams, have fun. But she was wanting to make sure I was taken care of. She wanted to take care of her boy.
Absolutely, positively. It's an impossible ask, because what we're trying to do is so outside the box. How do you, yes, as a parent, how do you approach it when that is completely not anything you comprehend? Now, if your kid were to say to you, "Yeah, well, I want to go into magic, Dad," you'd go, "Let me help you." You would understand how to mentor them. Or if they wanted to do anything in the creative realm, you would understand how to mentor them in the way that your parents could not possibly. The same way is true, with me. My parents had no idea how to mentor me, and my skill set. I was fortunate in that our social circle, there were 1 or 2 people who did know how to, who made connections. And in fact, I started writing professionally at 16. Part of the social circle connected me to a filmmaker in Baltimore who was looking for a writing assistant.
oh wow, that's awesome.
That's serendipitous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes, life lines up for you, and it appears you are lucky. Now, all right, so the love of magic, how do you, early on, as you now begin to try to make a living of this, is there anyone in particular that you're looking at and going, all right, that's the model that I need to be like?
I mean, if we had our own theater or our own place somewhere, I think I would get bored because I feel like I'm clocking in doing the same thing every day.
No,
she says she'd be
love
tickled pink with that. She would love that. But I can see that being an issue for me because I don't want to be locked in. I like seeing the world. Last night we were in Roanoke. We're all over and get to see different people, low income communities at these library shows we're doing that literally they come there. We do a magic show for them because it's friends of the library pays for it. And then they give them packed lunches. They are so appreciative of our show. And then you go to, our rich area and they're, sitting back there and you can make an elephant appear and sometimes you're pulling reactions out of them. So we get to see the world. And if everybody's coming to see us, but that would be nice too. But I can see myself getting bored. I would definitely be changing the show up a lot more if we were in one location for myself, not for the audience, because I'm taking it to different places now.
it's hard to franchise what you do because it's you and Natalie. I mean, it's the two of you on stage, and I guess is it your daughter appears with you on stage?
All three of her kids.
All
Yeah.
three of her kids. Because
Mhm.
I've seen video of at least one, which is a wonderful thing that it's a family magic act is so. It's a great bit of branding. It's a genius bit of branding. I think it's wonderful.
Well, we do a family magic show, whether it's an
Yeah,
illusion show or a family show. We're doing
yeah.
it a family show anyway. It's for everybody, right? We actually got hired at the Mohican Sun in Connecticut. At the a friend of mine runs a nightclub that does a magic show every Sunday, and he invited us out there. And his brand is, you know, his website is holyshitgym.com
Mhm.
because he says shit 90 times during his performance. Holy shit, that's amazing. Holy shit, I'm gonna make the magic happen. Wait a year. I can't. I'm a family entertainer. I just went out there and did my show. I produced doves. I did card magic. We did a comedy cards across where the cards vanish from here and end up under the lady's butt. So it's circumstantial funny, but I don't go crazy. I can't.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Look, you've created a very particular brand. Your franchise is a very particular thing, and now that you've created it, you must take care of it. It
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
it is essential. One of the things that we have in common walking in the door is we both have a relationship with Penn and Teller, and we're going to jump around a little bit here, but ultimately, at some point, your magic career intersected with Penn and Teller. How did you first bump into them?
Like find out about them originally or first time meeting them?
First, well, you know,
Find out about them.
they exist and you exist, but what was the first time when your paths literally crossed?
I'm gonna go back. In the magic store, in the movie store, the video store, Dad had that VHS tape right there, Penn and Teller get killed. And I watched it on a loop, fell in love with them. Then they came out with a VHS tape called Penn and Teller Go Public. It was a public access television show. And Penn would go in there juggling fruit in a grocery store, eating it, demolishing it. I didn't understand how television worked. So I thought they were just wild, wacky. I'm a teenager. That dude is crazy. He demolished that store and they just walked out because that's what it looked like on camera. And I was like, they're the bad boys of magic. Yeah, that's a bad boy thing to do. And I fell in love with them from there. The first time ever, well, I saw them in a show when they're on tour in Richmond, Virginia. And knowing about them, I know that they will visit the venue around the theater because they have their crew that sets up the show. So they'll go out and go to a local bistro and have a cup of coffee and talk. And I'm hoping to see them on the sidewalk. So literally, it was before Natalie. I had a magic van. It was like a mom van, like a minivan. And I had a TV, DVD player, VHS player in there. We got there to the theater 4 hours early, and we watched that movie. And I'm looking out the window. I was like a stalker. I was so crazy in love with Penn and Teller. I was hoping to see him just walk down the street. And then after that show, they always met and did a meet and greet after and shook everybody's hand. So I have pictures of that. And then I got an email from a friend who said Penn and Teller are looking for acts for the next season of Fool Us. What do you have? Do you have something you want to send to them? Well, I have this one trick that I created that fools a lot of famous magicians. And I sent them the video while we had dinner. By the time I drove home, I had an email saying, we love it. How'd you do it? What do you mean, how'd I do it? I'm supposed to fool Penn and Teller. Yeah, but the producers need to know. So we know that because some magic tricks have multiple endings, multiple outs, they need to make sure I'm not tricking the system. So then I went blah. And within 3 days, we were signing contracts and booking our flight to Vegas. A lot of people that do fool us, what you see their interaction with Penn and Teller on screen is all they get to interact with Penn and Teller. The trick that I fooled them with, Penn loved so much that as soon as I walk, I got the Fool Us trophy. I won. As I'm walking off stage, all I remember was a tall black lady, but wearing all black. Since she's tall, I stop right at her boobs. And she's like, stop here. I said, oh no, this is where I wake up from the dream. She said, no, honey, you won. We just have to check to make sure there's no, sometimes you have to hold up the prediction again. So they have it for B-roll, different things like that. And they were like, hold on. You're good. We got everything we need. You're good. So then I go to the next person and it's a union. So they're taking off my microphones and stuff. And as that happens, this big paw grabs my shoulder and spins me around. And it's Penn. He says, no, dude, I wasn't lying out there. I loved it. You were awesome. And Teller goes, I loved it too. Shut up, Teller. Now listen, I've been working on the script like this. It was just like, for real. That's how they talk to each other. And so 4 days later, after getting home, I got an email from Penn saying how much he absolutely loved it. And I'm like, it's yours. I'll give it to you. No, we can't be doing other people's tricks. We emailed back and forth and they're like, I want it. It was COVID time. It was something he could do alone when he's doing talks because he goes out and does different appearances. And so I did a FaceTime video with him, taught it to him. And he and Penn sent me a ginormous check. They said, I don't want to buy it from you just once. If you're using music royalties and playing the Beatles song, you write them royalty checks. This is a song I want to play the rest of my life. I'm going to pay you in advance now.
Now, I'm guessing it's the nature of the sleight of hand. You figured out a physical move that other people hadn't, including Penn.
It had never been done before in magic.
Right, but it was a teachable thing.
And the routine used the entire audience. That's what he loved. Because everybody stands up, everybody participates.
Oh yeah. But that's part of the look over here. When really the nature of the magic trick is very, very simple. And yes, but you are always in control of the ending. And so really, this is a wonderful piece. It's wonderful theater.
Yeah.
But that's what magic is about. It's about the theater that sets up the gag. That's the utter genius of it, really and truly, and that is why it is worth a fortune. Because but it's still, you have to have figured it out, and you still the other person has to be smart enough to be able to learn how to do it, and then to be able to do it so as to have the same effect with an audience. And so yes, it's a teachable skill, but it's not teachable to everybody.
Right.
Nothing. That check would be, if almost anyone else had given you that check, it would be pissed away if the intention was for them to learn it, I bet.
Right. Yeah.
It really requires, because it's not just the physical movement itself, whatever it is, it's the understanding of how to tell the story. If you don't know how to tell the story, then that almost becomes wasted.
And it was an entire routine. It wasn't just, that was just a piece of it. Yeah.
But if you just do it, man, you will reduce its value in a heartbeat. Then it's just, really, you can turn it into a parlor trick. 100%. Don't do that. When really and truly, its value, the bigger you make it, the more amazing it seems. That is why it is absolute genius.
And it's $50 and 1,500 people. You can't play it any bigger than that. It's crazy.
No, you can't do this with a quarter.
Yeah, I can do it with anything. Yeah.
Okay, so really, okay, but the $50 has a certain sex appeal.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The reason I use a $50 is because when I was doing close-up shows, I would do a table of 10 people. And they could all verify that it's on heads with 10 people. Yeah. When I'm doing a kid's birthday party, still, I have this lady, but the front row can see it's on tails.
Better marketing.
I just kept the $50. They can see it. It's bigger. But I can use a dime. I can use a penny. I can use foreign currency. I just have to know what is on it. If it's not an eagle, and when I was filming a video for another magic company, they threw a foreign coin at me, and it was literally a lion and a queen. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. So it's a lion for the eagle. I just have to get that in my head. Okay, so now I have it, and it's good. Yeah.
Basically, it's just, an obvious heads and an obvious tails, really, for the audience more than anything else.
Yeah.
Just so that they can see. wow, it's the more pronounced that is, or the person who is judging for the audience, it's, I love this the genius of the gag. Why I am also a fan of Penn and Teller is because a lot of what their shtick is, they show you how the magic trick works, except for the last little bit. So that basically you think you're seeing how it's done, and then the last thing befuddles you. Because I don't know how the fuck you did that. And nothing that we've seen before explains how you did that. But because you were looking at how the magic trick was done, you didn't see how they were doing the magic trick. And again, it's the storytelling genius of it that is so it's why it appears outside the box. And I get it.
And the theater of it, because they turn everything theatrical. You don't realize it. You don't realize it until you realize it. When they reveal like how to force a card, some magicians make you pick a card, and they do it like this. I really want you to pick one, and they give them a fair choice. 3 tricks later, they force a card, you don't know it, because they use a different method, and it's like, yeah. And then magicians get all upset. Well, you taught people how to force a card. Yeah, but 3 tricks later, I forced a card and they didn't know it. Yeah. And they've done that over and over with different methods as well. Yeah.
Their brand of magic and storytelling is very particular. You created your brand of magic and storytelling. But you also recognize, again, just going back to the business side of it, I think, as you said, the phone doesn't ring on its own. And the people on the other end have to be excited to have you at their gig and be motivated to call you. So how do you make that bit of sleight of hand happen?
Well, I've gotten good at video editing now. Getting a good promo out there is important. My publicist gets me on morning television. Not that morning television books, nobody watches morning television, but having those credits on a promo reel 5 years from now, it never dies. So, my announcement at the beginning of my show, Wes Iseli's here tonight. And it's all these news anchors mentioning my name, which was repeating my name so they hear it in the audience. But it's just credibility. Yeah.
The game of what people don't appreciate about getting into show business, let's say the movie and TV business, it's really hard to get onto that mountain, but that ain't nothing compared to how hard it is to stay on the mountain. And that really is where all the work is. And that's why so many people get out into the mountain, they're there for 2 seconds and then they're gone. And they can't get back on the mountain, and they wonder, how did I fall off the mountain? But really, it's having a career. Staying on the mountain is the trick. And that really is the thing that you conquered, because you understood that you're going to have to work at this. What I've come to appreciate is that telling a story is only half the gig. Selling the story is the essential other half of the gig. If you don't sell it, well, this was just your hobby.
And there are literally magicians out there that are amazing. They're magicians. Magicians hire them at magic conventions. Magicians hire them for their own, like, we go to see magic shows. This is who we want to see. But they don't know how to market. They don't know how to write. They don't know how to do any of that, but they are flawless. The moves they make, and we know what we're looking for when they're doing this card trick, or they're doing this move, or they're doing this thing on stage. And we are in awe, but they cannot sell themselves. They can't put a show together. And they are doctors, they're dentists, they're lawyers, but they have a passion for magic, and they are phenomenal executioners of magic, but they have nothing else.
And so when the magicians get together, they call Dr. Bernstein.
You're not kidding.
Come and entertain them with this sleight of hand.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the first lectures that we went to, magic conventions we went to, 9 out of the 10 people on the bill, I was like, this guy's phenomenal. Yeah, but he doesn't do this full time. What do you mean?
Why not? Yeah.
We had no idea.
That's insane.
Yeah. But you got to think, some of the people that make their money, cheating at gambling and things are phenomenal magicians, and they're hired as mechanics to come in and fix games. So they can make a ton of money just, being the professional dealer at, Bob's bar mitzvah or Bob's poker night. And we hired a professional dealer tonight, but Bob ends up splitting the take, gives half the take to the mechanic. Bob will win that night somehow, some way, because the dealer is cheating for Bob.
Mm-hmm.
So there are magicians that make a living doing that as well. So they don't want to be known as a magician. They don't want their name on the internet. They don't want their face out there.
Where did you come from, Natalie? Where did you start life?
I grew up in Maryland, and I met him when I was in college. And
okay, well, where in Maryland?
Oh, okay.
Tripler.
You want okay. Well,
Because I grew up in Baltimore, so I'm going to be curious.
Yeah. So my dad worked at Walter Reed. He was an army doctor.
Huh.
So I was actually born in Hawaii, and then when I was 18 months old, we moved to Germantown, Maryland. But by the time I started school, we were in Walkersville, Maryland, which is right near Frederick. Have you ever heard of Walkersville?
I know Frederick.
Yeah, okay.
I have family in Frederick, so.
Okay, yeah. Most people have only heard of Frederick. So yeah, Walkersville is like a 3-mile little tiny town outside of Frederick.
a bedroom suburb of Frederick.
Yes. Yep. And that's where I grew up. And but with my dad being in the army, in state for college was actually Virginia. So and I got lucky as a quote unquote army brat. I didn't have to move. There was threats a couple times where I was like saying goodbye to friends. We're leaving. I know it. We're leaving. And then it wouldn't go through, which I was fine with. But anyway, with college, I ended up going to James Madison University over in Harrisonburg.
What were you studying?
I didn't know. I went and I changed degrees so many times, and finally I just said, well, I guess I'll get a degree in religion because it's interesting. You get to learn about all the different types of religions and everything. What was I going to do with that when I graduated? I don't know. I went to college because I was supposed to. So that's why I was there. And
did you feel, but did you feel like you learned things at college that you wouldn't?
Yeah. Yes,
right.
Absolutely. I did. And honestly, being a religion major, it kind of affirmed my own faith. So as a Christian, so it was really interesting to learn all the different things about the different religions. Some of those general classes that you have to take, you're required to take to be well-rounded sucked. But beyond that, it was interesting once I figured out to do a religion degree. But yeah.
All right, so you took your religion degree. You really had, all right, what do you do next? Not sure. And you headed out into the wide world. And what happened next?
Well, I was still a senior in college, and I was waitressing to, pay for books and apartments and all that jazz. And he was actually the magician at the IHOP that I was working at. So he would come in one of the nights that I worked, and he'd do magic. And so I met him my senior year.
And IHOP had a magic night?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
They had college night, and he would come in and perform there. They had
the kids night, college night, and Saturday and Sunday mornings at IHOP. They paid me well, and they loved me. Yeah. And he recommended me to another franchise. So I would do kids night at 1 in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And I would drive 2 hours away to do Charlottesville college night. So the same night, I would do 3 hours for kids night, drive 2 hours across town, do college night, because they all come in for pancakes after they've been drinking. Mm-hmm. And then the next night, I would do kids night at that restaurant and drive back to that other location, do their college night that next night. And then Saturday and Sunday mornings. which were crazy because the line out the door, you're entertaining people so they don't realize the wait's so long.
Yep. So that's how we met. And then
but she's a foot taller than me.
Yeah.
And I just thought she was
Not
a cute
a
girl.
foot,
Yeah, I say she's a foot. Remember the boob that I walk into? I have that every day. She was sweet, she was cute, and we really hit it off. We connected just joking around and having fun with an employee there. And I asked her out to dinner, and I just wanted to go to, I was single at the time. I was like a week single. And I wanted to steak dinner. And I'm like, hey, let's go to Outback. So I took her to Outback. We sat down and we were the same height. My torso is actually longer than hers. She is all legs. And there was no pressure in the date. That, she felt different a little bit, I think.
I was looking at it as, why not? Free meal, college student, I get to go have steak. Yeah, let's go. But I didn't see it going very far because he was shorter than me. And I never, ever, ever, ever wanted to have a relationship with someone who's shorter than me. But as well as we kicked it off that night and how well we got along together and everything went so well, second date turned a third date, turned a fourth date, turned in
suddenly that's the thing that used to matter stopped mattering at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Isn't love a funny thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was weird at first. I mean, you could hear people snickering, and I think it was our nervousness coming through. Like, I remember going to King's Dominion with her, and several times that day we heard people snickering, talking about it.
Yeah.
But we've gone to theme parks. We've gone everywhere since. I think people saw we may have been putting off a vibe.
Yeah. Because I don't hear it anymore. Either that or we just don't hear it anymore because we're.
But I hear things.
Do you?
Well, I mean, I hear things. Like, we went through the airport with toddlers. I heard people talking about, oh, no, not on this flight. She didn't hear it, but I hear things like that. I'm always paying attention to my surroundings.
I'm paying attention to my kids, I guess.
Yeah. But so we don't hear the short stuff anymore. But
yeah.
Not that it matters anyway.
No.
People have lots of ideas that don't necessarily. Hey, most people don't make their life in magic and as a magician. So right off the bat, you're a unicorn.
When you pull somebody out of a box and they're taller than you are, dude, it's even better. She just keeps coming. We have a trick where we turn a 9-inch Raggedy Ann doll. We put it in a dollhouse, spin the box around. It's a 2.5-foot tall Raggedy Ann doll. And then it's Natalie in a Raggedy Ann outfit that's taller than me. Dude, take a bow with that. That's awesome. It's great.
Did you see yourself integrating into the magic act, Natalie?
Maybe not at first. I had accompanied him to a couple magic shows while I was still in school, just having fun. Like, I don't have anything to do this Saturday. You want to come to a magic show? Sure, I'll come. And I just kind of be background. And then once I got close to graduation and I had no idea what I was going to do, I asked him, I was like, can I just work with you? And that started out as office work, booking shows, making phone calls, which was weird because there was definitely a turnover period because everybody was used to talking to him. And I was like, no, now you talk to me. And so it was awkward at first, but it worked. But I started coming to more and more shows, and then I was just kind of off to the side. And I remember there was the first time I came up on stage, I don't know if you remember, it was at a fire department, and we did the head.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah. Swords. And I just came up for that one trick. I was just watching in the background, and the only time he needed me was for this one trick where he put my head in a box and put swords through it and then open it up and my head's gone. And you just see swords in the box. And
that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. And that was the first time. And I was like, this is kind of fun. And I don't know, it just kind of, I don't remember ever having a conversation of, yeah, get up on stage more, or yeah, do this, that, or that thing. It just kind of organically ended up happening. And then, you want to do bigger illusions. Well, you need the assistant. Yes, the assistant does not look like a normal assistant, short, flat chested and tiny, but we made it work. So Yeah.
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 Another
Well,
thing.
you look great on stage, so it
thank
works
you.
every which way.
Well, thank you.
She
I
also had a
appreciate that.
background in theater. She was a
Yeah.
drama kid all through school.
Yes.
Oh, well, no, that's the next question. So, all right, so it's not like this was foreign territory to you standing on stage. You actually were a drama-rama.
Yes. So I had
Oh.
dreams of being an actress and dreams of
Oh,
being
well, you didn't
director.
say that. Oh, you acted
no.
like you had no, so you had this was, but you
Yeah,
probably.
I had those dreams, but I didn't have a dad that said go after them. I had a mom that said, no, you need a backup plan, go to college, and a dad that just kind of was like, yeah, go ahead, go to college.
You
type thing.
buried the lead, Natalie. You buried the lead. You actually, you got to live the dream anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
She directed plays in high school. She was, before and after school, she was a drama nerd.
I was 100% full on in drama. Yep.
It makes total sense why on stage the act is so, it just feels organic. It feels, because you are so natural on the stage, and of course you're so natural on the stage. So yeah. Yeah, we see how the magic trick works.
It does surprise me sometimes because I don't want to kiss her butt or anything, but she's so natural at sometimes, like playing ditzy or playing this part. There's a trick we have in our show now where I'm just listing her attributes, and it puts the audience to sleep because, and I designed it that way, that I'm saying, you know what it means to wear lots of hats? This Natalie, we renewed our wedding vows. Penn and Teller gave her away. They love her, right? I love her. If you see our big show, I'm putting her in boxes, but in a small show, you don't get to see that. I'm going to brag on her for a second. And then I start listing, Natalie, write it down. And she has a clip where, okay. And she's a wife. She's a mother. She's a homeschool teacher. She's a homeschool teacher. She's a health coach. She helps people lose weight all over the country. She's actually going to college right now, online, Liberty University, and to get her master's in nutrition. And then I list all these things. We have a podcast. We have a television show. She's a co-host of that. A maid. Well, not really a maid, but she cleans my house in the RV, and they look great. I'm trying to speed it up for you. Did I get it all, Natalie? And she's like, well, what do you mean, well? And I'm reading the list over really fast. And then she balls up the paper and produces a dove out of it. You forgot animal training.
Yeah.
And it's just, and the audience is at a lull. They're sick of hearing her credits.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this comes out of nowhere. They are totally not expecting it. And it's one of my favorite parts in the show now, because it's like, it takes them on this, you can feel the audience just losing interest. You can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they produce, they're for the next 5 tricks, they're on the edge of their seat because they don't know when something's going to happen. I love that. That was something I've never had in my show before, to lose them on purpose. And I wrote it this way, and I love it.
The next question was, what inspires a new trick? But obviously we see where some of the inspiration comes from. Where else does the inspiration for new material come from? What inspires? Yes, it's got to be bigger and different, but that's easy in the abstract. How do you make those occur in reality?
So our show is themed right now. We did an I Love Lucy theme for a long time. I'm the magician. She's the assistant. She keeps wanting to get in the show. She keeps pushing her way in. I would leave stage for a prop that she left back there. What do you mean you left it back there? Shoot. So I would go run up in the dressing room and go get the deck of cards or whatever she left. And then she did magic on stage, producing doves or doing all this stuff. And that worked for several years. And then we just it just fizzled out. We lost passion in that.
Yeah.
And then the new show that we have now is just really telling my story. I've worked as an animal trainer. So I produce doves and tell them about working on Carbonaro. I talk about, we have an RV. You probably saw it in the parking lot, pulling a trailer. It's 6 of us, counting our live-in babysitter, which we recently got rid of after 5 years. Mm-hmm. We talk about the RV and what it's like taking it around. And, this is all, she homeschools because I want to see my kids. We don't have political or religion reasons. We tell everything about us a lot in the show. So when they leave, they know us. That makes us different than every other magician before any trick happens.
So you really have decided to tell your own story and make that the basis for what you're doing. Can't argue with that.
We're an open book. I mean, we really do tell it all. I mean, we started doing that reality show. I worked on Carbonero, and I told my publicist, I want a television show. What can we do to do that? And they were like, videotape it yourself. I did a vlog. I did a vlog for 6 years, weekly vlog. And then when I fooled Penn and Teller, a production company said, does he have something that we can use? And we're like, well, we can re-edit these. I went right to syndication because I already had over 100 episodes. All I had to do was re-edit it with intros and outros. I had to put the blank spaces in for local markets to put their commercials in. They would give me commercials every week. And that's what I was doing during 2020 when I wasn't allowed to work. I was editing video and putting my own commercials in the videos, leaving blank spots for the affiliates. It was eye-opening learning, but we had it. And that's how we got our own television show.
And there it is. And in a way, you've had everything fall into place just so, gosh, like a perfectly constructed magic trick.
But 6 years of editing video and putting out a weekly episode of the vlog and seeing no end in sight. You know, you get 100 downloads, 500 downloads, nobody cared. But then when it goes to television and they're saying people are loving it, I just wasn't promoting it. I was turning off comments because people want to guess how magic's done. Well, that messes up the algorithm on YouTube because now they don't want to put it out there because people aren't commenting on it. And it's like, well, it's magic. And I don't want to fight people. And yeah.
If everything goes belly up, you could still make a buck because you can take what you do and start all over again. You literally could, because one, you have the skill set, and two, you have the respect for how to do it,
and the passion and the love. I love it. I'm passionate about it. You know, Natalie is a health coach. She became a health coach a few years ago after having the babies. She couldn't lose her baby weight. And she found this program, a friend of hers got her on. She loved it. And they were like, you want to be a coach? So she started coaching other people to lose weight, making a little bit of side money. But she's like, you know what, Wes? I eat, breathe, sleep magic. She doesn't. She loves doing the shows. That's her favorite. She doesn't like the office work, but that's a part of the job.
Necessary evil.
But she loves being on stage.
Yeah.
But when she eats, breathes, and sleeps at home, what is she passionate about?
Right.
Having somebody cry to her, telling her, thank you. Now my husband doesn't snore. Now, you know, I can fit in clothes that I haven't worn in 30 years.
I can live the life I've wanted because I can physically do it. That to me, that's become my passion. So, yeah.
The ending is even better than I thought.
Nah. But passion. If you're passionate about it, you can get it done somehow, some way.
Yes.
That would seem to be the most essential takeaway from all of this. Hey, if you walk in the door with passion and you're willing to be patient, perseverance is really important, because being in the right place at the right time usually means you were in the right place at the wrong time up until then, and everyone thought you were out of your mind. Why are you standing there? And then suddenly the door opens and they go, wow, you were a genius.
Yeah.
Yes.
But only because you did the hard work. And the hard work, I'm sure while you were doing it at some point seemed, why the hell am I doing this? But it pays off.
I mean, literally editing video every single week till 3 a.m. We would come home from shows and it's like, no, I put them out Sundays at noon. I have to get this done and it has to be uploaded by the morning so I can push go on it, Natalie. Come to bed. No, I have to do this. Yeah.
You know, that's why I loved TV, and I miss TV, but I've reclaimed all that with podcasting is deadline pressure.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I do multiple podcasts. It's the deadline pressure is ridiculous. But hey, I love having that kind of gun to my creative head.
Yeah.
Works for me. I cannot thank you both enough for sitting in today and talking about your passion first and foremost, but how you've turned your passion via hard work into a joyful existence and a joyful existence together. It's what a wonderful story. And it ain't magic. It's hard work, how you got there, but I
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's and I brand everything Wes Iseli's Magic Life, and nothing was Wes Iseli's Magic Life until she came in. It sounds like I'm kissing her butt again, but I mean, it really it branded everything together because now it's us. Think about it. If I'm doing a 45-minute show that's 4 hours away, that's a lot of alone time. That's a lot of time doing nothing. Do you want to come with me to a show this weekend? Because literally, I'm working 45 minutes. The rest of it's travel. We go out to dinner. We'll stop. We'll see things along the way. I've taken her to the British Embassy at Christmas time. The Magic Castle in Hollywood. We get to see the world together, and that's how we get paid.
Oh, and look, the fact that you've made your family part of it. The show business, because just the nature of how it is, can be extremely disruptive to a relationship and a family life. It can be devastating to a family life.
I have friends on cruise ships that don't see their family for 6 or 8 months at a time. I didn't want that.
That's a choice of a kind of a family life, but no, it's at the end of the day, I think you will walk out the door so much happier than so many other people. You because you already are. I stand by my ovation. I stand by it. You have figured something out, but you did it early on. You figured something out early, and yeah, I'm blown away. I thank you both again for sitting in, and as always, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time. The How Not to Make a Movie podcast is executive produced by me, Alan Katz, by Gil Adler, and by Jason Stein. Our artwork was done by the amazing Jody Webster, and Jason Jody, along with Mando, are all the hosts of the fun and informative Dads from the Crypt podcast. Follow them for what my old pal the Crypt Keeper would have called terrific crypt content.